The Committee to Recall Sheriff Jerry Hatcher has created this video series where we break down the 8 counts of the recall for Sheriff Jerry Hatcher and explain the evidence supporting each of these counts. The 5th count that the courts were asked to consider is that Sheriff Hatcher intimidated public servants and witnesses in investigations into his conduct by raising false allegations of impropriety and threatening witnesses' jobs. This count is tied closely with counts 3 and 4. In order to understand what is going on, it is important to set the stage. By early 2020, Sheriff Hatcher was under considerable pressure. His divorce was very public due to accusations of domestic violence against him and the woman he was allegedly having an affair with running for public office. Because of the domestic violence accusations and the subsequent protection order, Sheriff Hatcher was court-ordered to surrender all of his firearms and ammunition. This led to the finding of 14 cases of county-owned ammunition and raised questions of possible criminal charges against the sheriff. At this time, the Deputies Guild published a vote of no confidence in the sheriff. Over 90% of the deputies participated in the vote, and of those, all of them, 100%, voted no confidence. With all this going on, Lieutenant Magnuson, a member of his command staff, filed a complaint with the County Human Resource Director alleging harassment. You can find out more about the details of this by watching the videos on count 3 and 4 in this series, or by reading the Blatt Report. A copy of that report can be found on our website by viewing Document 11. The Blatt Report is a report that was written by Janine Blatt, an independent investigator out of Oregon that was hired by the county to investigate Lieutenant Magnuson's complaints. As per county protocol, state and federal laws, during a whistleblower investigation, such as this one, the identities of the complainants and the witnesses are protected. On February 5th, Sheriff Hatcher met with Commander Coy and questioned him regarding his loyalty towards him. He then also questioned him about Commander Law's loyalty to him. The questions then turned to be about Lieutenant Magnuson and what problems he had with Sheriff Hatcher. Commander Coy informed Sheriff Hatcher that he couldn't talk about it and should speak with Lieutenant Magnuson. Sheriff Hatcher again asked Commander Coy to tell him again, and Commander Coy refused, stating that he did not want to violate county policy or state law. Sheriff Hatcher then turned directly to Commander Coy and informed him that he was his commander and that he has one more chance to tell him. Commander Coy felt intimidated by his superior officer and told him that Lieutenant Magnuson had filed a complaint. Sheriff Hatcher continued to grill Commander Coy on the nature of the complaint, but he refused to answer. Later that day, Sheriff Hatcher again tried questioning Commander Coy about the complaint, and Commander Coy again informed Sheriff Hatcher that answering those questions was against county policy and state law. He also informed Sheriff Hatcher that he had reported the previous conversation to HR. Sheriff Hatcher still continued to push questions and demanded to know who else knew of the complaint. Commander Coy again felt compelled to answer and told him that Commander Law also knew. Sheriff Hatcher immediately called Commander Law into his office and started questioning him about Lieutenant Magnuson's complaint, including if there were any complaints that were criminal. Both commanders repeatedly told Sheriff Hatcher that the information about the complaint was confidential and that they did not feel comfortable answering the questions. It is disturbing that 2 of Sheriff Hatcher's commanders told him that his behavior was against county policy and state law, but he continued on, and more concerned about himself than the laws and policies that he was breaking. Another investigation going on in early 2020 was the investigation by Franklin County Sheriff's Office Captains Diaz and Huber. This investigation was an administrative review that had been prompted by the discovery that Sheriff Hatcher had at least 14 undocumented cases of county ammo in his possession at one time. Prior to the investigations being finished, Sheriff Hatcher engaged in other behaviors that his staff found threatening and or intimidating. Sheriff Hatcher made multiple references to loyalty and said that he would find out who was loyal and that there would be consequences for being disloyal. He also told his commanders that he could whistleblow, and shortly after that comment, allegations surfaced that his commanders had inappropriately used county ammo during a hunting trip in 2017. This is an allegation that Sheriff Hatcher had known about for over 2 years, and he even knew about it before the trip since he authorized the use of the ammunition on that trip. The only reason for bringing it up during the Blatt investigation is to retaliate against the witnesses who are participating in the investigation against him. Another witness who experienced retaliation is Commander Crosscree. Commander Crosscree filed a complaint to HR in early June of 2020, where he complained that Sheriff Hatcher was using the results of the internal investigation to investigate anyone who had talked to his estranged wife. In his complaint, he also recorded instances of threats by Sheriff Hatcher to make him a Brady cop. Now, for those who don't know, being made a Brady cop is essentially a death sentence for a law enforcement career. Being a Brady cop means that you are a cop of questionable integrity and that your testimony may not hold hold up in court. No agency wants a cop who will not be able to testify in court, so your law enforcement career is done. As if threatening Commander Crosscrew with being added to the Brady list wasn't enough, Sheriff Hatcher also threatened to make Commander Crosscrew's son, who is also BCSO deputy, into a Brady cop. After Commander Crosscreew's HR complaint was made public, Sheriff Hatcher had an interview on Kona Radio. During this interview, he made allegations of impropriety against Commander Crosscrew, stating that there were issues relating to his use of time. Sheriff Hatcher left a clear impression with listeners that Commander Crosscrew had committed illegal or unethical acts relating to his time card or his use of time. There was no known evidence that Sheriff Hatcher's allegations have any basis in fact. The attack on Commander Crosscrew served no other purpose than to attempt to discredit him as a witness and punish him for being a whistleblower. Another issue is that Sheriff Hatcher started taking notes on sticky notes in command staff meetings to allegedly document negative performance. When Sheriff Hatcher heard something he didn't like, he would stop, make an angry face, and start taking notes on a sticky. Now, some jokes have been made about the use of sticky notes because everyone uses sticky notes and not everyone is doing bad things with them. But the sticky notes themselves are not the problem. Put yourself in the position of Commanders Law and Coy. Your boss has already used threats to force you to break county, state, and federal whistleblower protection guidelines. He's told you that he'll find out who said what in the investigations. He's repeatedly threatened your job and he's demanded your loyalty to him. You already have a stressful job where you're under attack on the streets, and now you're under attack in the office. A change in behavior, even one as simple as increasing the use of sticky notes to make notes during a meeting, is going to be interpreted as something threatening, especially if the timing and body language suggest that the note being written is about you. According to county policy and state and federal laws, whistleblowers and witnesses are protected individuals. Sheriff Hatcher used his position as sheriff to discover the identity of complainants and witnesses and then to intimidate them. As subject of the investigation, Sheriff Hatcher should have stepped back and had no involvement. Instead, he raised false allegations, threatened jobs, and even threatened the job of one of the witnesses' sons. This behavior on its own is sufficient grounds for a recall. You can find all the supporting documents for this count on our website at www.recallsheriffjerryhatcher.com. This video series was paid for by the Committee to Recall Sheriff Jerry Hatcher. Top contributors are the Washington State Fraternal Order of Police, the Benton County Deputy Sheriff's Guild, and Kathleen Werschke.